we are going to talk about getting color on a page and not worrying too much about where everything's at and all the details, okay? So let's start out with this image, and I will post this image for you. And I'm going to start out by painting it 4 times, and that's what I want you to do. So I'm going to move it aside right now, and I want you to paint all 4 on one page. So as big a sketchbook as you have, and I'm just going to start, and it doesn't really matter that this is perfect. I'm going to divide it into 4 sections. Just pulling it down. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Some are a little bigger than others, but that's okay. So here's the big idea, is to paint all at once, all 4. So I'm going to work on this one, and then this one, and this one, and go back to this one, and move around and share my colors, okay? No pencils, I don't want you to do any drawing. This is what we're going to do. So I'm going to set this over here, and I will show you, I'll paste it up here so you can see it. So I want you to see the whole page. I've got just my primary colors plus white. And you probably have a brush about this big, which is pretty small for what we're gonna do. If this is all you have, use it, but find the biggest brush that you can find. So I'm gonna use this big old honking brush. So I want you to see just how we can move things around. Now, I'm not saying paint a picture of flowers. This is your inspiration. So there are a couple things I really see here that are really lovely. This space, this shape, the negative space is really nice there. These petals coming out are radiating out. These curls in here and the spots on top. I'm interested in these stripes. Now, remember I said we're primary colors, so I have to think about it. This might be red. This back here might be blue or violet. Okay, so I don't want you to fuss too much about matching the colors. Again, this is your inspiration. So I'm just gonna paint. I want to start. We're back. So we just kind of played around with some color and mark making, and now your job is to pick one of these. Now, if you want, you can find a little bit of a smaller brush. A round brush will work for this, whatever you want. And I want you to come back in, and you don't even have to use paint. You can use some oil pastels if you want. I want you to come back in and just pick one of these. Now you've taken pictures and you've posted these, and I want you to pick one of these and just explore it a little further. Again, this is my reference, and I'm just kind of exploring parts of this a little more. And if I were to do this again, I probably would have taken some time and gotten a little closer to one of those sunflowers. And I was kind of trying that here. So I think I might push this one a little bit, just because it's my least favorite too. How about that? So I'm gonna zoom in, because it's kind of a mess. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit and think about what I want to do with this. And I missed the lily, and that was my favorite part. So I can come back in here now because I've got the sunflower here, and I'm just going to add some marks. Now, I don't want to focus too much on outlining anything, but that helped already. That kind of delineated this sunflower with this negative space here. And I want to do it a little bit right in here, maybe with green this time, because that's what's back here. Fill it. I'm just adding just a minimal amount of lines and shapes at this point. I don't want too much. Maybe I will, and again, I'm not too worried about matching colors or anything like that, but I do want to come back in here because I like this shape that comes through and disappears out into this. And my paint's not even dry yet. Not a problem. Comes right off. And maybe come back in with some paint now. I wasn't real thrilled with outlining that there. Just right over the oil pastels. What I'm trying to do is find this line right here. A little better, huh? My center. So again, the areas that are lost, I'm not too worried about. I might come back in with a little bit more stronger blue in here. Now I'm back to the paint. And you can use pastels, you can use paint, you can combine them. But what I really wanted to focus on this was this lily here. So let's look at it. And it has this really cool shape that I totally missed. Again, my negative space was around the lily and around this flower. Okay, there's part of it. And then let me paint out. Another really wavy petal here. And then I've got this really cool one that goes off the page. So you're taking one of these, and I don't care which one, and you're focusing in on just doing more to it. Just a little bit more. And again, it's not becoming by any means what the other one was, right? Or what the photograph is. You're just playing around with more negative space maybe, or positive space, or mark making. There's my lily. I kind of want this stamen coming up being enhanced, so I'm going to come back in with some red. It mixes right in with that pastel, kind of weird. Maybe a little bit of white. Comes forward. I don't know if it looks like it's coming forward at us or not. And then I've got that stamen there. Mark making, leaving some texture maybe with the paint. Coming back over. And down. Just picking one, laying some things back in. You have to be you with this, okay? You might want more detail. I want you right now just pushing paint around, okay? You're just experimenting. None of these are beautiful. None of these would I sell or hang up anywhere, but I've explored some negative space, some mark making here. This is still my least favorite. I might come in if I wanted to when this dries, because I kind of got a little heavy. You know, I tore up the paper a little bit. You guys, unless you have watercolor paper, this would be better on watercolor paper. But I'm just using mixed media paper. You only have to do one. I'm just showing you some possibilities for these others. But I can take this, and I kind of like what's happening with, remember I said we're kind of playing with some mark making or experimentation. I like how this kind of got blurry. And a little faded. Now my pastels have some pink, so I could really work on some marks here. I still don't have that lily. That lily just disappeared over here. I'm going to leave it off though, because I think that if I try to get it, I'm never going to get it because the paint's too... Ooh, I like this though. Just focusing in on that sunflower now. And I really want to pop these two guys back out. And again, you're just picking one, but you're going to take each one of these and post it, okay, in the grid. And then one thing I really like before I go is I really like to pull in spaces of negative space, negative pops of color or dark, deep darks. that really pop things out. That's going to enhance this flower. It's going to bring it forward. And I'm not outlining it. So as I worked on this guy here, there were parts of it I liked a little better, but this one caught my eye down here. Focusing in on the negative space, I laid in some orange over top of the blue and rubbed it with my finger. I hit the negative space of this and laid some paint in. I blurred the flower with some orange paint and oil pastel, and then my pink pastels here, and just did some line work back here. See, I just left the lines to kind of play around with this one as an option as well. You don't have to do all four. You're just picking one to enhance and keep abstractifying it though. I don't want it to be super detailed. I want you experimenting, throwing paint around, scraping into it, trying some things, rubbing it. Just what you see me doing here. You're just exploring, you're moving the paint, and you're keeping it abstract. Okay, you're just taking one of them that the composition might be a little better or more enhanced and pulling more out of it, okay? Pushing it. I started with paint here and then I added some pastels and then I went back into it and smudged it with my finger. I could come back in and kind of give it some texture. I don't want it to be too bright though. You can see I'm just kind of smearing it and blurring it out. I didn't ever use green. I stayed with primary colors. The only secondary color I used here was this orange to tone down that blue and make it a little more brown. So pick one, post them all, okay? Pick one and enhance it, okay? And think about the composition. I'm at the rule of thirds. I'm thinking about my negative space here. Enhance it and then post that one in the appropriate spot, okay? So as I did this one down here at the bottom, I learned a little bit of what I liked. So I might come back in and try some of that with this guy. I kind of like that blurrier look. It's still pretty wet. Yellow is hard to get back after you cover it up. But now it's just kind of spiky. There are things about this that I'm liking a little better now that I softened it. Maybe coming back in with a paintbrush now with just some red. Oh, there's some other colors in there too. And some pink. Maybe even focusing in on this negative space a little more. Again, you're keeping it abstract. Colors, they can be arbitrary. The background was kind of a gray. I made it blue. I'm liking this, some things about this a little better now that I came back in a third time. But, you know, this should take about an hour to do all of these. My pastel will bring this pink little carnation out. And you can't tell it's a carnation. You can't tell what any of these are. Doesn't matter. Okay? Really doesn't matter. Your focus is interest and exploring and scraping things and trying new things. Maybe I'll come back in here with some orange on this blue like I did below to neutralize it. I don't want it to get muddy. I'm going to focus in on those stripes in the wood. You got to be careful. I don't want it to get muddy. I want it to be interesting still. Okay, maybe a little bit of green down here. I like to stick my fingers in the paint. Again, pops of that dark or pops of some pure color to kind of push some things back. Experiment, get your hands dirty, try some things. I'm liking some things about this a little better. There's some things I don't like about it better. I don't like this, so I'm gonna forget the neutral and just kind of enhance the negative space here. And if you want to work on more than one, you can. You only need to do one though. One for the second step. How about some red? It's making a cool texture, huh? I know not all of you paint as messy as me. A little more fun. Okay, maybe some green up here, or some, oh, that's not green, is it? They're yellow lilies. Let's pull those back out. Some heavy, maybe some yellow with some white in it. Make it a little more opaque. But it is in the background, so it doesn't have to... I'm getting to the point where I'm overworking it now. So I'm going to quit. So I did 4. I came back in on this one and came back in on this guy right here. You only have to come back in and work on one of them though. Pick your favorite composition or some things that you like about it and just rework it and then take a picture and post it.